Welcome to the Power Meter launch that we've all been waiting for, and let's get straight to the details of these with the overview and all the details that you'll need to know if you're short on time. So here are the Assioma PRO RS, RS standing for Road Shimano. They are Shimano SPD compatible road power meter pedals using the proven Pro spindle with all the electronics inside the spindle. It's the same as their Pro MX power meter pedals. Now you get the same data and metrics as the Pro MX, so you get power plus or minus 1%, IAV, and the full suite of cycling dynamics, amp plus, Bluetooth, etc. Now the Pro RS are interchangeable with the Pro MX pedal bodies, so if you want to convert these to an off-road pedal, you can do that. The weight, these come in at under 124 grams per pedal, so under 250 grams per set for the dual sensing pedals. Q factor, no compromises there, 53 millimeters on the pedal. Stack height, 10.5 millimeters, 60 hours of battery life, and the magnetic charger has USB-C connections. There are 28 points of tension adjustment, and they ship with cleats inside the box. Pricing, as shown on screen here, the RS2 dual-sided come in at $789 US in euro, that's $578 plus taxes, Aussie dollars just under $1,300. There's a single-sided version, and replacement pedal bodies are 49 euros plus taxes. Now, if this is all the time you have to watch this review, that's all you'll need to know. Oh, and they test well, very, very well on the bike. Now, today might be launch day, but this isn't a first impression look at these pedals. I've had these on the bike for the last 3 months, not just on the road, they've seen plenty of time on my gravel setups too. Okay, for those with a little bit more time on their hands, let's jump into the full technical specifications. As mentioned, there are 3 versions of this product released today, the RS2 dual-sided, RS1 single-sided, and the RS Up version to upgrade the RS1 to the RS2 dual sensing pedals. Pedal type is Favero's own pedal, not a third-party pedal body, and the pedal bodies are interchangeable without any special tools needed for the job. The bearings, 2x-needle roller bearings, and as mentioned in the summary, there is no compromises to your bike fit, they are a standard pedal. Weight is unbelievably light for a dual sensing power meter pedal. Again, power accuracy, plus or minus 1% internal rechargeable battery, 60 hours of operation, 3 Bluetooth connections as well as ANT. The data, you'll get power, cadence, left-right balance on the dual sensing pedals, and the additional data, IAV cycling dynamics. IAV stands for instantaneous angular velocity, something Favero have coined for their version of cycling dynamics, but with these pedals, or the Pro spindles, you'll get the full suite, those being power phase, platform center offset or PCO, torque efficiency, pedal smoothness, and rider position. They have active temperature compensation, they have auto calibration, although a manual calibration is required on installation or bike swap. Oval and Q-ring compatibility is a yes. Configuration, firmware, diagnostics, all done with the updated Favero app, and the max user weight is 120 kilos. Alrighty, let's open this up, a new set of Assioma PRO RS. This is the PRO RS2, so the dual-sided power meter. Always nicely packaged from Favero. There we go. Oh, I even opened it the right way. How about that? Security seal done. And inside the box, we have manual, some re-greasing tools. We won't need those for a while. Charge clips, pedals themselves, and a set of yellow cleats. These are 6 degrees afloat. Underneath that, charge cable and cleat mounting hardware. Let's have a look at what's included. Everything we expect. All right, this is everything we need to get up and running. We'll put those aside, so they're the cleats that come with. Warranty and safety information. Okay, inside the manual, all the details you need to know. But look, let's jump straight to the chase and have a look at these. And the first thing in the hand, very noticeable that these are light. Right side, left side. Okay, before getting those in the scale, let's point out a few things here. The magnetic charger, which the same as the Pro MX, will clip in here and away it goes. And it is, when I find the ends, here they are, USB-C. So although you still need the clip-on adapter to charge. If you're traveling, you don't really even need to take that because USB-C is everywhere. You can just take those, or just one if you want to charge one each time. Rightio. Now let's just confirm that pedal Q factor. Now remembering the duo sheaths were quite wide, this by eye is 2 spec. I'd say that's 53 mil. We're definitely not out here at 65 plus. So standard Q factor of the pedal. Stack height, quite difficult to measure that with what I've got just here. Just over 10 from the center of the spindle to the top plate. Now, the all-important weight, but let's start off with a few comparisons first. Now what we'll look at is a set of Dura-Ace 9000 pedals. Obviously no electronics in these. 248 grams, right. Well, the Favero Assioma PRO RS2 comes in at lighter than the Dura-Ace 9000. As comparison, let's have a look at the Assioma Duo, coming in at 303 grams, so effectively the previous generation Assioma road pedals, and some Garmin Rally RS coming in at 319 grams. So, no question about it, these pedals are very, very light. Now, as a bonus, if red isn't your thing with those red rings, Favero do offer an aftermarket option of black rings. So these can be installed. If red's not the right color for your bike, for whatever reason, you can get black rings. Again, aftermarket, these do not come in the box. But if you want the stealthier look, that is also an option. All right, let's get these on the bike. For the activation and first ride of this set of RS2s, I'll be installing them on the Zwift Ride Smart Frame, but two things to do before that. That's number one, a little bit of grease on the threads before even installing the pedals. And secondly, pedal washers. Now, some cranks do not require pedal washers. You can go straight on, but pedal washers ensures that interface between the crank and the pedal power meter spindle is, I guess, the best as it can be. Sometimes that's tapered, sometimes that, well, with carbon cranks, you'll always need washers anyway, but I always like to run washers and the spindle with a small amount of grease. And with that, installation is very, very easy. Okay, snug down by hand first. And secondly, with a 15mm open-ended wrench and 30 to 40 Newton meters, which isn't a lot at all. And done. Actually, on the pedal itself is 35, so I was ballpark right in the middle. And it's rinse and repeat for the other side. Now, before I forget and before I clip into these, let's snug these down with the adjustment. 28 levels of adjustment, which is about twice as many as other pedals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Yeah, okay, that's pretty tight. I do want to be able to clip out. So I typically run mine around about there. Tends to be nice and snappy, just over the halfway mark. As the pedals ship in travel mode, you will need to plug them in to wake them up for activation. That needs to be done on both spindles if you've got the RS2. Another quality of life update is the little LED light on the charger. So you know that's going to work when you're plugged in. Pedal activation and registration is done via the new Assioma app. Adding a new Assioma there, it will detect them once they've woken up, obviously, and are flashing away. Now, these aren't active at the moment. I need to click on active for the settings that I have. Now, a brand new set out of the box with an updated app will actually find the new set, take you through a full tutorial, and then take you to the pedal activation, which you fill in your details for warranty purposes, and away you go. Okay, simple as that. I fast-tracked that, obviously. And all the information on screen, charge level, firmware levels. If there's a firmware update, it will pop up on screen there. Over in settings, we'll change the crank length down to 170. That is the current crank length I have on the Zwift Ride Smart Frame. Confirm and done. And as this is the first installation on this bike with these pedals, let's do a calibration as well. And that comes back as being happy. that's about it. Let's jump over to the live tab and I'll pedal the bike. A few pedal strokes to make sure everything is reading as expected. Full suite of cycling dynamics on screen. Power, cadence, PCO, which isn't quite great on the Hokers, but I'll clip in a moment with some SPD-SL shoes, and the numbers should come into line a little bit better than what we're seeing on screen. Okay, that's the unboxing, installation, and activation covered off. Let's continue. When it comes to clipping in, I do find the SPD-SL system a little easier than the Look KO or Look KO compatible or any other pedal system, because once the front is engaged, it's just a simple stomp down and you're in. No additional wiggle or lip to get over the top. Now that was my preferred tension. I'm just going to back these pedals all the way off to the easiest tension, just to see how much it takes to clip in. And the answer there is not much more than the weight of my leg. That is really easy to get in. Once it's in, it's vertically secure. It is very easy to get in and out. And for science, let's torque these all the way down to tension number 28, I guess it is, and see if it's possible to clip in or clip out. And the answer is it's not impossible, but damn, there's a lot of tension on those. They aren't going anywhere at maximum tension. If you're a long-term viewer of this channel and my reviews, you'll know that the Assioma Duos and more recently the Pro MX have been a trusted baseline that I've used to test other power meters and smart trainers with. Over the years, my power meter testing protocol has only gotten more refined, and that's become a bit of a headache for some manufacturers. Case in point, my deep dive with the Look SPD pedal issues, and more recently, uncovering a rather interesting and now acknowledged issue with the SRM PM9. Identifying these issues is only possible thanks to having data from another trusted baseline power meter to compare to. Pulling up a quick summary of my data from testing the Pro RS, I found the accuracy to be excellent, typically within 1% of my other trusted meters. Responsiveness, excellent, again tight during sprints, during transitioning from different zones. The drift, offset, and oscillations, negligible. Now this is part of my deeper level power meter testing, checking for drift over time, PCO testing where I'm pressing on the pedals in different places to see if that affects the power reading, and power oscillation over steady state intervals, especially indoors in erg. Now the Pro RS passed all of those tests, so all was looking good. Now, the data quality as well, using Bluetooth, Amp Plus, no problems at all, and coasting response is excellent, so no holdover and no sticky watts. Although that does depend on the head unit being used, it wasn't seen across multiple head units used with these pedals. Look, the Pro RS has ticked all of the boxes, which of course should be no surprise, given the history that Favero have making power meters to date. Okay, time to dig into some data here on my favorite website, the DCR Analyzer tool, where we can compare multiple data sources as an overlay and see how things stack up. Typically, this part of my power meter reviews or smart trainer reviews goes on and on and on as I review 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiple data sets as I dig into the problems encountered. Today, I have one data set. That's not me being lazy, that's just me showing you that the data just works and there's nothing to dig into. Okay, the configuration here, Assioma Pro RS on the bike, along with the SRM PM9 and the Garmin Tax Neo 3M. The SRM PM9 does have a few issues with residual torque. I do need to stop and zero it every now and then to bring it back into line with the other meters. So that's been done for the sections we're looking to here. And the Garmin Tax Neo 3M, they're reporting a little higher for the average overall watts. Just simply a recording difference between Bluetooth and how it's averaging with my auto pauses. You can see there on screen, I'll put an arrow. Let's have a look at the peak power sprint, and not much to report. Now there's going to be a slight difference there as this recording is only at 1 Hertz. But let's dive into the peak power there. 1231, 1227, 1220. Bang on, all good. On to the steady state tests, a step test, and just riding along. 192 on the Assioma Pro RS, 192 on the SRM, 190.2 on the Garmin Tax Neo 3M. That's with no smoothing. That's raw data, and there is absolutely nothing to look into there. That just works as it should. The numbers are lining up. There's just simply nothing to dive into there. That is some of the best data I've ever seen across the board for a set of pedals, obviously the PM9 once it's brought into line with a zero offset, multiple during a ride, and the Garmin Tax Neo 3M. Left-right power data as reported by the pedals, all looking good there. The SRM PM9 reporting differently because it's only estimating the left-right. Assioma Pro RS and any true dual sensing power meter will be able to tell you your true left-right. And for that section there, I'm 95.92 and 96.4. I'm pretty good, left-right. Cadence data for that section there as well, 82 average, 81.5, 82.6. There's nothing to report there either. Now, as for the additional metrics that you can get with IAV or Cycling Dynamics, let's jump over to Zwift and have a look at my ride there. While on Zwift, I had the Edge 1050 paired to the Assioma PRO RS2s, and flipping some screens, we now have power phase and peak power phase shown, platform center offset, and seated and standing time, as well as balance and overall power. Alrighty, now getting up out of the saddle here, my avatar will actually copy what I'm doing, and you can see the peak power phase really drop down, and the time standing starting to count up. Now, that's delayed by about 5 seconds on Garmin head units. I'll deep dive this another day. That seems to be working as expected, and as I crest and that gradient backs off, the peak power phase starts to move up towards the 90-degree mark. So the full suite of cycling dynamics can be recorded on a Garmin Edge unit and also viewed within the new Favero Assioma app version 4 or above. So what we have is a power meter where the data is not only good, it is brilliant, the pedals are light, they're easy to install, there's no compromise to bike fit, and the price is within that mid-range price bracket for a true dual-sided power meter pedal solution. So what are the downsides of these pedals? Now, although the electronics, like the sensors and the battery, are inside the spindle, as a pedal system, there are still moving parts. Of course, they're pedals. So there's going to be a service interval, just like any other moving part on your bike. And this is why Favero include the greasing tools with the kit. Now, I've been riding the Pro MX since April 2023, so over 2 years, and the Pro RS for 3 months. And maintenance for me has been, well, almost non-existent. I've kept things clean and only once removed the Pro MX pedal bodies to check if they needed greasing. They didn't, they were fine. But I do think it's worth mentioning that as a pedal, as with any other pedal, they're not entirely maintenance free. As for what the service interval will be, well, that depends a lot on your riding and where you ride. Alrighty, onto my wrap up of the Pro RS, and look, this kind of product is an absolute pleasure to review. Switching to them required 0 changes to my bike fit. It actually shaved a little bit of weight off the bike, which is always a win, and the build quality for a road pedal was absolutely spot on. At a technical level, there were no rabbit holes, there was no back and forth with engineers, there were no promises of future improvements to fix issues because there were none, and there were no excuses that sending something all the way to Australia caused it to be damaged in transit, and they'll send another. And with that, I've just offsided about 90% of the companies that I deal with. Look, Favero have never been known for rapid product releases, but when they do launch something, it is rock solid and ready to go. It would have been great to see this product released about 2 or 3 years ago, but I'm very happy to see it finally arrive. Even more so that these work flawlessly right out of the box. So there's no question about it, the Assioma PRO RS sets a new standard for pedal-based power meters. And with that, thanks for watching. As always, remember to hit that like button. Also to be sure to hit subscribe here on YouTube to be across more bike tech videos uploaded here. There is a lot coming up this month that you'll want to know about. We'll see you soon.